Hey guys, welcome. So, when Samuel came back, I asked him if he would be willing to do this. This is new for him, but he also saw the value in it, and so we thought we would do it more like an interview kind of thing. So sometimes it's hard with these experiences to, like, you come home and you're so overwhelmed that you don't know what to share and what to say. And I'm still hearing stories from when my husband went on missions trips, like when he was 1. I'm still hearing stories, and I'm like, I never heard that story. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you. So so we keep hearing news stories. Of course he hasn't been back that long, but so anyways, we just thought it would be cool to do it more like an interview. So thank you guys for coming, and so we'll get started. You ready?
Yeah. Not really.
Okay, it'll be good. So I wanted him to start by just sharing what is YWAM.
You can kind of fill in since you probably know better how to explain it. But it's called Youth with a Mission, and it's a global missions organization. They have bases worldwide. They lead a lot of different schools, missions schools and things like that.
What's their motto?
To know God to make Him.
Yep. So their whole emphasis is to train up people to know God and then to make Him known. And so there's bases all over, and the one that he's been a part of is Tyler, Texas. That's also where Chris and I met. So, and that's actually, he was born while we were in it. So they used to call the little ones the wee whammers. So he was actually a wee whammer before he was an official Y-whammer. Oh, I forgot to say, so different times while he's talking, there may be some pictures showing up on the screens. Can you guys see them okay? And then, yeah, and we might stop sometimes and focus on a picture. So, all right, so what is an SST?
An SST is the program or school that I've been going to these past 3 years. It stands for Summer of Service and Training.
Sorry.
And it's for anyone ages 13 to 17. It's just like a youth program, usually 2 to 3 weeks. You usually have a week and a half of being in classes and hearing teachings, things like that, and then another week where you go on outreach and put into practice what you've learned. Gone to, first year I went to Houston, phase 2 I went to Chicago, and then this year I went to Colombia. So yeah.
Okay, cool. So you said something about phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. So besides the difference of locations, what are the differences between each summer that you've gone?
Phase 1 is mostly, it's really focused on knowing God and having a relationship with Him, how to live that out in your daily life, having, times where you spend with God, really how to minister to people. Phase 2 is more, we went to Chicago, which is super diverse. It's more on different worldview, different religion, and really ministering to different people groups. Phase 3, all the phase 3s are a little different. They're kind of tailored to that school. So, but the main emphasis is changing the world and living a missions lifestyle, going into missions full time. Because if you've invested 3 years in it, you're probably going to do something with missions. Is that what they, the kind of goal is. So yeah, but phase 3 is really about changing nations and changing the world. That's the big emphasis for phase 3.
So when you went to phase 3, did you know the kids that were there? Explain sort of so they understand.
Yeah,
it.
so you go through all these schools with mostly the same people. They have 3 different phase 1s, a phase 2, or 2 different phase 2s, and then a phase 3. So most of the people, but there'll be there's 2 people I didn't know from mine, but then everyone else were I'd been with like the past 3 years. You know, it was funny because it's like all the people that I got close to the first and second year were the people that were here the third year. So that's cool.
That's more fun. So you were gone for 3 weeks. So where were you? Where did you go first, and how long were you there?
I was in Texas first at the YWAM base there. I was there for about a week and a half. Yeah. Yeah, I was there for about a week and a half. That's where we did, you know, teachings, prepping for outreach, worship, intercession, like all sorts of different things. Mostly, you know, teachings and things like that. Growing as a team.
So just a funny thing, whenever he says base, it sounds like a military place. It doesn't have like high fences and walls and security. It's like over 300 acres of just this ministry location, and it's just, base just seems like a natural way to describe it. But they have all kinds of, I mean, there's a lot of full-time, they call them staff, but they're all volunteers. No one within Youth with a Mission actually ever gets paid for what they do. And so they have office workers, and they have people that take care of the, like the grass, like cutting the grass and the landscaping. They have people that work on vehicles. They have like anything that you can think of, it happens there so that they can continually send people out into the world and train people. So it's cool. Okay, so you said different things that you did in Texas. So what did a typical day in Texas look like? Well, I'm sorry, you just said that. I think you had quiet times and
yeah, quiet times, worship, teachings, intercession, preparing for outreach.
Okay, so what is a small group? Like, what does that mean?
Oh, we have small groups too. Small group is really like in ours, the girls and the guys separate. It's really just, you know, all the guys are in one. It's like a good time to process what's happened the past day, what you're going through. You know, I mean, just like a home group we have here. So that's a small group.
Okay, cool. So what is an intercession group?
Intercession group is where we'll like pray for like what's on the heart of God, you know, and whatever He wants us to hear, what wants us to pray about, or maybe about outreach, maybe about something totally random. You know, you usually just sit and listen. You know, everybody will usually get something, and you know, oftentimes they'll all connect, and we'll be like, oh, it's about this person or this place, and you know, then we'll pray about that place. You know, it's really just listening for the heart of God for something or whatever. Yeah.
Explain what a quiet time is. I mean, that might seem obvious, but they actually give you scheduled quiet times, which sounds kind of weird, but you know, so explain what they try to encourage you to do.
Half an hour to an hour, you know, taken out of your day where you usually just get alone and get with God, and you know, looks different for everyone. I usually, you know, sit somewhere and read my Bible, listen to music, and just listen to God.
That's good. So what kind of teachings did you have in Texas?
A lot. We had like 2 to 3 a day, and we're there for a week and a half, so that's a lot of them. And they were all really good. The ones I remember, we had someone worship, the Bible, Holy Spirit, some about intercession, about living a missions lifestyle, you know, just a lot of different subjects about the character of God, who we are in God, about different ministry, things like that.
Cool. So can you explain what kind of things that they tried to teach you in preparation for going to Colombia?
Going to Colombia, we worked with another, I guess, like group at the YWAM Tyler base, called AgTech, Agricultural Technologies, and they had already started a project down in Colombia of building a mud brick oven for the base, another YWAM base in Colombia we were going to. And so that at Ag Tech, they taught us how to make the mud bricks, which we never did when we were in Colombia, so I'm not sure why they taught us that. So I don't know if we got us. I think there were some scheduling conflicts, and they told us, they were like, oh, we didn't know we were doing this in Colombia, you know. So we prepared for things that we never really did most of the time.
Which is good preparation.
Yeah, I
Spend
know
all
how to
that
make
work.
mud bricks, and yeah.
It's good practice
know.
for, I don't know, maybe we need a brick oven at the house and you can, no. All right, so you guys left for Colombia. So talk about like your travel, just your travel day. What did that look like?
Very tiring. We flew to Colombia. So we flew from Houston to Miami to Bogota and to Leticia. Bogota and Leticia are both in Colombia. And so we had like, each ride was like 2 to 3 hours. And on the way there, we had like a 6-hour layover in Miami. And on the way back, we had a 12-hour layover. Now, going through customs and all that stuff was horrible. Horrible. But and then once we got to Colombia, we landed in a place called Leticia. And I tried to find it on the map, like on my phone, and it said there's an international airport in that city. So I was like, oh, that's where we're landing. I was like, an international airport, that's a cool thing to have, you know. Thought it would be nice. And we get there and the airport's outside, like all outside. I'm like, we're literally in the middle of nowhere, like literally in the middle of nowhere. And the baggage claim was like, maybe as long as this row chairs, and it was all outside. It was funny, but so yeah, we landed there and we took these little we all crammed in some taxis. I think there's a picture somewhere up there of me in a taxi.
That's the load. Is that the Leticia?
That's there's me in the taxi. So yeah, that's us in the airport. But you know, we all crammed to the taxi, and the taxi drivers down there are like ruthless. Like it's the taxis and the mopeds, and then the really nice cars on the street. That's all it is. And you know, I was so afraid we were gonna run over someone on a moped. It's like I would never drive here. So yeah, we took a taxi. Then we went to the port. We had a 45-minute boat ride on the Amazon to where we were going. And then we had a 2-mile hike from where we got off on the Amazon. We had to climb this like super steep hill, like it was just straight up, you know, you got these little mud steps and you gotta slip in the mud, and it's fun. You're while carrying your 30-pound bag, and you know, we go up and then we walk like 2 miles through the jungle. It was awesome, you know, through mud pits and creeks, and until we finally get to the YWAM base thing. So that was a travel day.
So what is the YWAM base in Colombia that your final destination there? What was that called?
It was called El Puente, which means the bridge in Spanish. And their heart is really just I'm trying to remember exactly like what it is. It's really just to be a bridge to the people around them, a bridge for the gospel and for God, you know, to the people around them. You know, so that's their heart, and yeah.
Okay. So what did a typical day in Colombia look like?
All of them were kind of different. So we'd usually get up and eat breakfast, and then we would start working and stop, eat lunch, and then we'd usually have an hour or two where it would rain, and you know, we'd take a nap or just sit around and do whatever. Stop raining, the sun would come out, and then you work until supper. And then every night was different. So like one night, the first night we were there, we were all tired, all about to go to bed, and then we hear that we can go spearfishing. So all the guys went spearfishing in the middle of the night in the Amazon. And so we're like in the jungle, and like there's a creek, and so we're in the creek. Not in the creek, some of them were, but we weren't. And only they had spears. So none of our team had, well, no. Yeah, one of the girls on our team got a spear. And we had thought we had seen something in the water, and she saw it, and she speared it, and she pulls it up, and it's a 6-foot electric eel.
Oh.
So that's the picture of her. It's a really bad picture, and but there's a picture
like
of her
holding it over her shoulders.
Yeah, but it's a 6-foot electric eel. It was awesome. It took probably half an hour to kill it, and we did eat it. It wasn't very good. It was very fatty, and they burned it. It wasn't very good. But yeah, she like pulled it up on the shore, and it broke the spear, went back in the water, and then one of the kids there, we called him Rambo. He could, yeah, so he took a machete and like stabbed it, pulled it back up, and pulls the stick out of the woods and just starts beating it, and it died. It was hilarious. We were all just sitting there like, "Go Rambo!" You know, it was awesome.
Only boys.
Yeah. Yeah, that was fun. That was the most exciting thing that we did in our free time. But yeah, that's what a typical day looked like.
So you said that you helped build a brick oven.
Yes. Yeah, so what that really was just like, my job was to dig the mud out of the pits, like out of their trash pit. Like it was literally their trash pit. They threw their trash into this pit, and we dug mud out of it. It was not very fun. And so, yeah, we dug the mud out of the pit, and, they build the oven. And really the goal to, with this oven, they didn't have like a place where they could like cook large amounts of food for people. And this base, trains pastors and people and other missionaries to go out into the Amazon. They've planted a lot of churches in the villages around them, which is awesome. And so what that really was, the heart behind it was to build that so they can really minister to more people, be able to have more people over to their base to train them. So yeah, we dug mud out of the pits, and then we had to get like bricks for the oven. So one night we're getting ready to go get bricks for the oven, and the guy somehow gets a hold of us, and he's like, "Hey, I'm at they were bringing 300 bricks up from the Amazon to the start of the trail." So we go to the trail, and we wait there like half an hour, and it's sunset, and we're like, he said he was gonna be here. It's sunset, it's beautiful on one side, and on the other side, there's this huge storm. It was the beautiful thing ever, but it was horrifying. Yes, there's a picture of it. It was amazing, but we all thought we were gonna die. And so it's getting dark, the storm's coming, we're like, really? Finally, the storm like goes over us, and it's not raining yet, but it's pitch black. Someone went back and got flashlights for everyone, and then they come, and we carry 300 bricks up, and it starts raining, and we put like 10 bricks in a sack. We all put them all over our shoulders, walk 2 miles through the mud, middle of the night, in the pouring rain. Worst experience ever, but it was the most fun I've ever had. It was weird.
So how many trips did it take you?
Took 2 trips. Everyone had to take 2 trips. There were probably about 15 to 20 of us that did that, maybe a couple more. But it took forever just to do that.
Is that when you got stuck in the mud?
We all had to part. I never got stuck in the mud. I was the only person that didn't get stuck in the mud. I knew where to walk, but I was with one person, and we had to partner up, and she's walking, and like she just like starts sinking down to her waist. And I had to we both have bricks on her shoulders. I had to like pull her up, I was just laughing at her. Like, she was like screaming for her life, and I was just sitting there laughing at her while filming it up.
Good job, good job.
It is hilarious. It's hilarious. But yeah.
Chivalry is not dead.
That was fun. That was fun.
He did help her. That's good. Okay, so you talked about the brick oven, you talked about the bricks. Is there anything else that you did while at the base?
Not really, no.
Okay, so then talk about the village that you went to.
Okay, so we did go. We had been at the base for about 3 days, and I think it was on a Sunday evening. We took about an hour boat ride to this village. It's called Canaan. I think I'm saying that right. I'm not sure. It's called Canaan. We went over to that village. Another 2-mile walk through the jungle, and we get there, and we get to the building we're staying in, and it's just a building. And like we sleep in tents on the floor, you know, no mosquito nets, no nothing. And
so what were the tents for then?
For the
mosquitoes, yeah.
Right. But yeah, and you know, we did not have a bathroom, we didn't have showers. I mean, we had a bathroom, but it was just like, you know, kind of just the pot of the toilet. The other part was just taken off. You flush it with water. So that was fun, you know. We all wake and so.
See what things you're missing out on?
We had water, but we drank it, and it tasted really weird. We did get it from trash cans, actually. They were like clean trash cans, like they were new. They were new trash cans, but like you ladled it out of the trash can and put it in your water bottle. So it was like, oh look, I'm drinking out of a trash can. I don't think they've ever been used for trash. I think they were made just for water.
Then that's better.
But yeah, it is weird. So yeah, we all wake up the next morning and we're all like, all our stomachs are just like, we're all torn up, and we're like, we only have one bathroom. You know, it was not very fun at all. So, you know, all the ones, there was like 2 people that stayed back that just didn't feel good enough to go work. But the rest of us went out, and they wanted us to mow a field with machetes. So there's this huge field, and we go get machetes and start hacking away at the grass. So I chopped down the Amazon. Yeah, that, you know, I got super sunburnt because I forgot to put sunscreen on. I was ready to call it quits. I was like, I do not want to be here anymore. And you know, so we all went 3 days without showering or I didn't change clothes. So no one changed clothes. So we were all disgusting. But let's see, the first night we were there was this little church there. We took up over half the church. I think, Josh, do you have pictures of it? Just keep cycling through them until I tell you to stop. It's a really tiny church. Right there. Yeah, that's the church. So we took up one side of it. And so we shared like testimonies and devotions. I shared a devotion one night, you know, they wanted us to do like 10 to 15 minute devotions. So I did that. And, you know, we did it, and we were like, okay, that's cool. And then the next night we go, and this is probably like my favorite part of the trip. We went and, you know, we did the same thing the other group, you know, shared testimonies, shared devotions, and trying to remember. And then mine's going. Yeah. We so after the service we were all about to leave, but then one of the pastors you know, asked us to just like, hey, will you pray for us? You know, let's pray for you. You pray for us. We really feel like we're like under attack by the enemy. You know, we're such a small church, and you know, we really feel like we're under attack by the enemy. There's a lot of sickness going around in the church and things like that. So we were like, yeah, you know, we'll pray for you. You know, so we just started praying for people, it was awesome. And then we all like stop. We're all about to leave again, and one of the guys on the team gets a word for him. Gave the word. Then we had another prayer and worship time, and then this was my favorite part. Was when I felt led to go, pray for one guy, pray for one of their guys. So I start praying for him. It was me, one of the sons of one of our leaders, and one of the girls on our team. We're all praying for him. He's up there, he has his hands raised, he's obviously with God. And then, he's shaking, and I turn to the one kid who's right behind him. I say, get ready for him to fall over. And he's like, what? And I look up and I see him just go. He just falls back, and he just gets slain in the spirit. I was like, whoa, that's awesome that that God let me have a part in that. I was like, that was really cool. So yeah, that was my favorite part of the trip. That God let me have a part in that. Yeah, and then we left, and we really felt like that night was like the reason that we had come to. God sent us to Colombia. It was just minister that church, and so yeah, that was my favorite.
What about VBS?
We ran a couple VBSs with kids.
You had told me about some of the kids, though, how the kids just all kind of.
Oh yeah. Don't let kids use you like a jungle gym when you're sunburned. It hurts like crap. And so we're all sunburned, and I mean these kids would just run up at you and just like tackle you, and it was fun, but like that's the first time I've ever told a kid like no. I'm like, no, stop right now, like get away from me. Like I'm like, I cannot do this anymore. And we're all they just climb on you, but then they want you to pick up their hands and start spinning them around. So that one of them just took my hands and he just starts running in a circle. I was like, what are you doing? And then I realized, I was like, oh crap, I've never done this before. Like, you gotta give me time to learn. I was like, okay. And
Don't
so it was
them.
fun, and I'm already like, kind of thirsty and everything. I'm just like dizzy. I'm like, oh, okay. Just kind of, and once one kid sees another kid doing that, they all want to churn. And so, I do it with all the kids. I dropped one of them.
One kid went flying. And
He scraped his knee. I felt so bad, but like I was like, dude, he was quite large. he was just like he wasn't like big. He was just chunky, and I didn't expect him to be that heavy. He was only like this tall, so I was like, I got this. And so I pick him up and I run around, and I didn't expect him to be that heavy, so I can barely get him off the ground. And then his hands are just like soaking wet with sweat, and so he just goes like, it just like just flies out of my hands. I'm like, oh crap, what did I do? And yeah, that was fun.
Good. So if you have kids and you don't let Samuel spin them around.
Especially not if they're chunky.
Yeah, especially. Which for Samuel to tell a kid no, he had to have been stretched to the
Cutest
limit.
kids ever, but no.
Because he loves kids. So,
That kid.
that kid.
I was going to play soccer with a couple of the littler kids, because soccer down there is like the thing. They're all pros, even the little kids. They're pros, and so I was like, I'm not playing with the older kids, because I'll lose. And so I went off with all the little kids, and I played soccer with them, and this kid just all of a sudden, out of nowhere, just comes at me and just starts punching me, and then I turn around and I just kind of play with him, yeah, okay, and then he just starts doing these spins in the air and karate chopping, like kicking me. He's just like, bam, and I'm like, dude, stop. I grabbed it, I was like, stop. It was funny. Everyone started laughing at me, but it was funny. And you can see in the background, my one friend Caden is being tackled by all the kids. So yeah, that's what was happening to us. He was telling them to stop and trying to get up, and I was over there. I was like, come over, tackle me for. I mean, not really, don't, but I'll get off of him for a minute. But Yeah, so that was fun.
All right, so you were in that village for a couple of days.
2 days, 3,
2 days, 3 days.
2.5.
Okay. And then you said that you got to, so then you went back to the,
El Puente.
yeah, because
the
I
YWAM base,
keep
right.
saying it wrong. So then you said that you also got to visit Peru, right?
Yes, I did go to Peru for technically illegally, which is awesome. Into a country, but it's like a tourist area. You know, here's Colombia on one side. You take the boat across the Amazon. There's Peru. And so, yeah, so we went to a petting zoo in Peru, and I got to hold some sloths and a caiman. And sloths are like, I thought their fur would be like super brisk and like, they're just the softest things ever. Like, they're so cute. They're like little babies. And there was a monkey, but I didn't hold him. He was jumping around in people's heads. But yeah, sloths are like, they're just like little babies, except with like 5-inch claws that'll just grab onto you and they won't let go. So that was fun.
So there's a picture that he had, or it's not one of these, but there was a funny picture of him holding, but in the background you see this girl, and she's like, and there was...
Yeah, you can see, you're just trying to pull it off.
Yeah, the sloth was digging its claws into her, and she was like, trying to pull it off. So cute, but hurtful. Okay, so you said you got to have a day off in Colombia. So what did you do?
Souvenir shopping.
Souvenir shopping. So was that like, did you have to get back on the boat?
Yeah, that's when we left. We went to the petting zoo, then we went back to El Puente, got our stuff, then went back on the boat and went to Leticia, with, you know, that 45-minute boat ride, which is, you know, the city. So yeah, we went and then we went shopping. And there's another YWAM base in Leticia. And so we stayed there that night, so we dropped all our stuff off, then, you know, went and explored. So it was fun.
So what?
That's the airport.
That was the baggage claim, that small little. All right, so what did God teach you on your trip?
Ooh. The biggest thing I think he taught me was probably to trust in him. You know, when I got in Texas, that like first, it was the first night. You know, I got there and I was, you know, whenever I go, like I don't go to like get my problem solved, if that makes sense, but you know, I know it's coming, and so I'm like, well, I want to get this taken care of and this taken care of. Like, does that make any sense? You know, like, you know, I didn't really have anything on my mind this year that I felt like I was like struggling with. I was like, I don't think I'm really struggling with anything. You know, I get there and I was like, and the first night they do kind of like it's not like church, but you know, every Sunday night they call it family night, and just, I mean, it's pretty much just like church. You know, someone preaches and stuff, and someone taught on like trust in something, and I was like, I didn't know I struggled with trust. Like, what the heck? I didn't know I struggled with that. So like all through that week, I was just like, God was showing me that I could trust him with everything. You know, which I was like, it gave me like so much freedom just, and I was like, wow, I didn't know like this would give so much freedom, you know, in my life, you know, just in everyday little things. It's like, you know what, God, you got this. I'll trust you. And I was in Texas. We were leaving. I was like, yeah, God, I trust you about this trip. You know, it's great. And then we get to Colombia. And I was like, crap, I'm gonna have to put this into practice, because you know, the first day we get there, and all I'm doing is digging mud out of a pit. I'm like, God, you really had me raise like almost $3,000 just to come down here and dig mud out of a trash pit. I'm like, I'm not doing anything, you know, for your kingdom or, you know, anything like that. It's like, I want to see, you know, someone get saved and someone get healed, and, you know, I have this list. You know, and yeah, I was just like, I want to see, you know, lives changed. And he was like, you are changing lives through this mud pit. I'm like, no, I'm really not. Like, okay, whatever you say, God, you know. but you know, he kept showing me. He was like, "You're planting seeds." That's a big thing. It was God in Texas. God showed me that I need to trust Him with the seeds I plant. You know that if I could pray someone that like that verse says. I don't remember where it is. You know, if you plant a seed, it'll God will just water it and bring it up. And God was like, "You're planting this seed, and you need to trust me with it. This mud oven that probably won't even be finished when you're gone, will help, will let these people train these pastors, which will let them go and change communities and, change this and change that." And he's like, I was on the plane, we were taking off from Colombia. I was like, "Oh, bye, Colombia." Didn't do anything. And God was like, "Well, you did change the Amazon, and with the seeds, through the seeds you've planted, you've changed the Amazon, and you've changed the country of Colombia." So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to trust that you're right, and that you'll bring these seeds to fruition, that, the one seed that's planted, will multiply, I think the Bible says like 10 and 100-fold or something like that. So I'm like, okay, I changed Colombia, changed the nation, okay. So yeah, that was the biggest thing that I think God taught me, was I just need to trust Him with my seeds and everything I do, that He knows what I'm doing and He sees the big picture, even when I don't and when I don't need to. Because if I see the big picture, then I'm just trying to meet that end goal instead of all the little stuff in between that He sees. So yeah, I thought that was cool. I was like, yeah, I've changed the country of Colombia, so
Cool.
that was the biggest thing that taught me.
So, why are you sharing about your experience here?
Well, a lot of you have known about this for a while. Have been praying or have contributed, financially. So I just really wanted to share it and show you that, through the seeds I planted, I wouldn't have gone to Colombia and done what God needed me to if it wasn't for, all of you guys and everyone who wasn't able to be here tonight. So I really wanted to share it, because really that's all of your seeds, kind of too, so, yeah.
Yeah, like one big team, one big
Right.
body of Christ working
Right.
together. So what are your plans for future? Just because I know people have asked, so your last year of high school.
I'm not going to college.
What are you going to do?
Just so you don't ask me. Just a note. So I'm planning on next year. I really feel like God wants me to go back to YWAM and do it's called a DTS, a discipleship training school. It's like a 5-month-long version of what like these 3 weeks were. And so I'll graduate, and it'll be next September or October that I'll go. And I'll be there for 5 months. So it's 2.5 to 3 months of, in Texas at the YWAM base, doing teachings, and, it's like topics they cover in the SST these 2 weeks, like, they, like, take one of those topics and they'll, like, do it for, like, 2 weeks. And it's like, oh, how do you do that from that one little thing? They just really dive deep into, the character of God, things like that. Then in the last 2 months, I'll go on outreach. You can go pretty much anywhere for outreach, right?
Yeah, so
they've done it before.
Right, so that's how Chris and I met, was when we did, YWAM likes acronyms, so YWAM, DTS, SST, I don't know that they know how to make long names, but a DTS, typically what you do is soon after you get there, they invite all the students they're like, okay, we're gonna spend some time in prayer and ask that you share whatever location God puts on your heart. And so they'll go up and write on the board, and there could be 5 locations or there could be 30 locations that these students have gotten. And then usually what happens is that the staff of that school has usually prayed ahead of time and gotten locations. And it's really cool because almost, like 95% of the time, the leaders already know where they're going, and most of the students get the same locations. And so then, then they'll have the staff come up and write the locations, and then the students are like, oh. It's just really cool because it's like building their confidence of, you heard God, and they heard God, and look, it's the same. And sometimes you have a few, that okay, no one got that, so, okay, there's always that. But there's usually a U.S. Based outreach, and then there's usually, depending on the size of the school, there might be 1 or 2 foreign outreaches, but you don't know that until you actually get to Texas and start kind of going through the process of where you get to go. It's not like they're pre-made, pre-packaged, kind of things. So, yeah, exciting.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's a slideshow.